All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 40 Super versus 41 Magnum. And today we're going to be trying out some of my hand loads. So for the 40 Super, that one is the 200 grain XTP. There's what that thing looks like. Did load it in a standard Starline brass. Should be moved around 1,500 feet per second. And for 41 Magnum, that one is the 210 grain XTP. That one also has your Starline brass and should be moving around that same 1,500 feet per second mark. So for a 40 Super, we are going to be testing out of our Glock 21. We do have that 6-inch barrel in there. And for a 41 Magnum, we're going to be testing out of our Smith & Wesson Model 57. That one also has that 6-inch barrel. So we'll be going through our gel. Those are 10% calibrated blocks. Do have our catch block behind that. So total 22 inches of gel. 4 layers of cotton t-shirt on the front, and like always, we'll set up our chronographs and hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do head to head. First one up will be that 40 Super. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see how we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1507. So, awesome to see. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a muzzle velocity on the Garmin on that one, but I did shoot a few off camera beforehand. I'll probably throw a screenshot or something, and we're right around that 1515 mark. So, awesome to see. I was loading for, 15 plus. And really cool to see, we're right at that 1,000 foot-pound mark, right at 1,500 feet per second. Just insane for that 40 Super. That thing is definitely becoming one of my new favorites lately. But anyways, so you can see right where we hit. Looks like I got a pretty good shot. See a pretty good start pattern so far. And let's check this thing out from the top. So you can see quite a bit of fragmentation going all the way through. Man, there's a wide track going all the way through. And then check that out, we did make it into that second block in a really good ways too, probably 3/4 of the way through that second block, and it looks like we got some pretty awesome expansion. So that would be an awesome hunting round for sure, just the way that thing performed. But it does look like we do have quite a bit of fragmentation. It didn't come apart, which is good, but we do have a little bit of lead chunks. And it doesn't look like we have any type of blowout besides our table, of course. But like always, we'll get our measurement now, and we'll get a little bit more accurate cross-section measurement later. But while we're out here in the field, we are 3 3/4. So, that's actually not the most that we've seen out of a 40 Super, but, kind of surprising there. But, man, still very impressive stuff. Got a ton of penetration on this one. So, looks like as soon as that thing came in, opened up really nicely. You can see those fragments a little bit better from this side, and just a huge path. These are 11-inch blocks, and that pretty much carried that whole 11 inches. So that is awesome, man. That is a ton of damage for sure. And then hopefully you guys can see that. Looks like there's a little bit more fragmentation in that second block, and that slug's resting down in that second block. So see what kind of measurement we have here. Basically looks like it's from the top, very top to the very bottom. So we're about 4 1/8 inches. So definitely a little bit more from the side than the top, which is kind of typical, but man, just crazy. Super impressed so far. And then there that round is. It looks like it is facing downward. And let's see, at our leading edge, we made it 8 3/4 inches. So looks like we made it 19 3/4 inches of total penetration. So just shy of 20 inches. I was definitely expecting quite a bit of penetration, but not that much, man. That is pretty darn impressive. 1,500 feet per second at almost 20 inches of penetration. Like I said, that'd be a perfect hunting load. But very impressive. So we're gonna set up for that 41 mag and see what we can destroy on this, next shot. Every time we bring out that 41, man, we're blowing tables, we're doing something. So hopefully we don't have that today. But anyways, let's see what that one can do. All right, we're sitting back to 15 feet. let's see what we did on that one. All right, so looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1492, so just shy of what we were looking for, but we were able to get a muzzle velocity and we were right at 1516. So really good to see. Like I said, this one was supposed to be you know, about 15 plus, and that is at the muzzle, so it looks like we did get that. So really awesome stuff. And I think it's awesome that our hand loads are actually achieving what we want compared to what we're just hoping for from a lot of these companies. You know, a lot of these companies lately, you know, I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of them that just aren't loading up to spec lately. A lot of underloading, but you know, that's okay. You know, we could do it ourselves and make them 10 times better. But anyways, all right, so there's that hit. Looks like I got a perfect shot on that block. You see right down in there, and another huge star pattern, so that's always good to see. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely quite a bit of damage. It does look like we did have a blowout here in the top, but you can see, man, you know, I did flip this block just so these paths didn't collide, so we are going the opposite way, but you can see pretty much same as that last one, actually very identical, or very similar. But you know, they came in, opened up, dumping just a little bit of that lead, and that looks like, you know, it is settling down a little bit in that second block, or kind of flatlining. Didn't make it into that second block. It is this one here on the right, and it looks like we made it just as far as that 40 Super. It actually looks like it's about 1/2 to 3/4 inch shy, but always good to see. So let's see what kind of measurement we have from here from the top. And here from the top we are at, hopefully I can get this because they did kind of overlap. Let's see, actually kind of difficult to see down in this block today. It looks like we're around 4 inches, so definitely you know, quite a bit. Like I said, I will cut these open later, get a little bit more accurate measurement, because it does look like they kind of collided. It's a little bit harder to kind of tell what's going on, but we'll check it out here from the side. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. Came in, opened up, and pretty much, like I said, that's, you know, almost the same as that last shot where it came in, and it's you know, just has a huge path going all the way through this first 11 inches, and then you can't see those little pieces of you know, jacket or lead that, or you know, the lead that came off of that bullet, that's shearing off. But ton of damage. Same thing, this one is the one, hopefully you guys can see it's on the bottom. Looks like we did get some really good penetration though. But, and once again, check out our table. Hopefully you guys can see that it is absolutely destroyed. These are some heavy hitters that we're testing here today. But let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. Looks like about 4 inches, so I believe that's about exactly the same from the side than the top. So just great to see, man. That is just super impressive. I love all these calibers. You know, I'm not biased on any of them. I love them all. And it's cool to see, you know, we're bringing out the big bore stuff lately, but hopefully you guys can see this round. It is on the top. You can see that track going all the way through, though. It did flatline, and it is carrying quite a ways. And at our leading edge, we're at 8 inches. So like I said, we're about 3/4 inch shy of what that last one. So we were right at 19 inches of penetration. 40 Super was 19 3/4. So, you know, pretty much spot on. Basically, the 40 Super was made to replicate the 41 Magnum. You know, a lot of people say the 10 millimeter doesn't come close. I'm sure if you know, spike the pressure on them and really push them, you could probably get close, but it doesn't compare to 40 Super. 40 Super is just a whole nother animal. And basically they you know, created this round to kind of duplicate that, but in a semi-auto pistol. And you know, we are using 6-inch for both. The only difference is with the 6-inch on the semi-auto, it's not actually a full 6-inch barrel because it is including the chamber length as well. But anyways, enough of all that. So let's check these out one more time from the top. What I'm gonna do is flip these blocks back over so we can get a little bit better view. So sorry guys for all the rambling. You know, I love talking about this stuff. Anything ballistics, I'm just a ballistics nerd. I love everything about it. So I'm just super excited, and you know, it's cool to see our hand loads, you know, achieving what they're achieving. But anyways, before we flip it around, sorry. So the one on the right going away from us was that 40 Super. The one coming towards us is that 41 Magnum. So here's that 40 Super. It's actually looking like we're getting a little bit more damage than that 41, which is kind of surprising. But that one was that 200 grain slug. Can't see, came in, opened up, awesome, dumping a little bit of fragmentation, small lead, you know, little lead chunks. Did make it into our second one a very long ways, and then is that one there on the top with some awesome expansion. And here's that 41 Magnum, same thing, came in, opened up, just dumping a ton of energy, man. That track is huge also, carrying it pretty much the whole way through that first block. barely settling down, maybe that last half inch or so. And then same with this one. It is this track here on top. And flat line, ton of penetration, and once again, great expansion. So really awesome to see. So what we're gonna do is pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. Looks like they both got some awesome expansion. So the one on the right was that 40 Super, one on the left was that 41 Magnum. So here's that 40 Super. Picture perfect expansion on that one. Though opened up very nicely, mushroom back. It did peel every one of those pedals over that base. Good to see that it actually held together. You know, the thing was moving 1,500 feet per second, so awesome to see. And there's quite a bit of gel stuffed in there, but man, that is a definitely a big heavy slug, big old chunk of lead going through that block. But man, that is awesome to see. That was a very fun one, very impressive one for sure. And here's that 41 Magnum. Same thing with that one. Absolutely picture perfect expansion. Mushroom right back. You can see this one didn't peel back as far, but you know, it did really good. This one is packed with gel also, but man, that is a same thing, big old hefty chunk of lead, and just getting a ton of penetration. That, you know, that's always a fun on 41 mag. Thankfully we didn't destroy anything like we normally do when we bring that thing out, but man, that is a heavy hitter for sure, especially when you do hand loads. We used to get it from Underwood, but you know, they kind of slacking lately. But anyway, so there they are one time from the bottom. Hopefully you guys can see that and tell which one is which. One on the right is that 40 Super, one on the left is that 41 Magnum. And last time from the top. So like I always do, guys, we'll get our still shot, slow-mo, retain weight, all that, you know, good stuff here at the end. But anyways, once again, that one was 40 Super 6-inch versus 41 Magnum, also 6-inch. Those are both the XTP, and a whole lot of fun. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. All right, so here's that cross section for that 40 Super. This one is definitely very impressive. You can see we have some really nasty looking spider web cuts down in there, just tearing this stuff up. Same over here. I did remeasure these. They are peaking at the 4.5-inch mark and averaging right around that 4-inch mark. So definitely really good to see. And that one was definitely pretty stout. I think that one actually had more recoil than that, you know, 41 Magnum, but yeah, very impressive stuff. So let's cut it open. All right, and here's after being cut. So the bottom is the right side and the top is the left. Hopefully the camera's picking all this stuff up, but you can see pretty much on contact right at that 1/4-inch mark started to open up. You can see a huge path going on. You can see really small you know, lead chunks and fragmentation down in there. That thing was moving. For the most part, it did hold together though, which was really good. It didn't shed any petals or anything, but it did shed a little bit of that lead. And that thing was, you know, just over 1,000 foot-pounds, so that was very impressive. Everything that I've loaded lately for 40 Super has all been over 1,000 foot-pounds, from light to heavy. So cool to see, you know, that they're pushing that much energy and, you know, that much destruction. But anyway, same here on the top, came in, opened up. Once again, you can see that huge path going all the way through. Just some massive splits. You can see a little bit more of that fragmentation down in there. But yeah, this stuff was very impressive. I wasn't really sure what to see, you know, expect. You know, that was a pretty heavy slug for, you know, it's basically 10 millimeter, 40 Smith & Wesson, whatever, you know, but it's just pushed really fast. So yeah, that 40 Super is definitely impressive. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. And, you know, it was actually, it did very well. It got a lot of penetration, dumped a lot of energy, and it held together. You know, usually when we're testing big slugs like that, it's either 44, 41, something like that. So it's cool to see that something of that caliber can do so well. So like I said out in the field too, that'd be a perfect hunting round. But one more quick angle, you can see those massive splits. And it is XTP. Those are a little bit more, you know, on the hunting realm compared to, you know, your SD rounds. But yeah, that is just crazy impressive. Just to see the devastation that 40 Super is creating. And usually if these are in, you know, 10 millimeter, they're right around that 1250 mark if you're lucky. So maybe we'll load some up extra spicy for 10 mil too, just to see what it'll do at maybe, you know, 1,300-ish feet per second. But at 15, it is very devastating. Yeah, I just want to show this one more time because that is just crazy. I didn't know what to expect, but definitely did awesome. But yeah, that is some nasty stuff. Just a jumbled mess in there. So anyways, that one was that 40 Super. All right, and here's that cross section for that 41 mag. So this one was also very impressive. It's almost similar or identical to that last one, just with the way that, you can see that perfect spider webbing going down in there. I think they were, within 20 foot-pounds of each other, so kind of expected there. And, the diameter of the bullet isn't much different, but really cool to see what's going on. So I did remeasure these. They are peaking right at the 4.5-inch mark and averaging right around that 4.25. So I believe the other one was 4.5 and averaging right around 4. So about a 1/4 inch less. That's not really, enough difference to make a difference. But surprisingly, the 40 Super actually got more penetration. Not by a lot also. So, but still very impressive stuff right there. So let's cut it open. All right, here's after meat cut. So the bottom is the right side and the top is the left. So you can see pretty much like that last one on contact where it started to open up, maybe around that 1/4 inch mark, and just some massive, massive track going all the way through. This one actually drug in quite a bit of that fabric or that, cotton t-shirt into this wound track. But yeah, very impressive stuff. Just, it's barely hanging on. Massive, massive cuts though. Very impressive stuff. So same here on the top, came in, opened up. Once again, you can see that path going all the way through. I did pull out a couple fragments, not too much with these. They actually, did very well and held together. This one is for the 40 Super and the one on the left is for that 41 mag. Looks like there's another chunk down in here too, but really good to see that those bullets, even at, 1,500 feet per second, are holding together very, very well. But pretty impressive stuff, man. Like I said, I had a blast doing this one just to see, the amount of damage and that our hand loads are actually performing exactly as we would expect or hope them to. A lot better than all this factory stuff lately. But anyways, one more quick angle. You can see this one did just as good. Tearing this stuff up, if it'll stay. Really, really nasty cuts down in there. And same here on this side. Like I said, you can see where it's kind of barely hanging on. It's just kind of flapping there. But yeah, that is some very nasty stuff. This one is also very good hunting caliber, hunting round. And, 18 inches of penetration is definitely no joke. So it's definitely, some big game stuff right there. But anyways, that one was that 41 Magnum, 210 grain XTP, right around 1,500 feet per second. Thanks again for watching, guys.